your building. But as a journalist, I must say that it has been so difficult, so difficult to get this into press. It was difficult, at least in my paper, to get Anne Lacaton and Jean-Philippe Assal. It was difficult to get a social housing building. Difficult. No, we want glamour. Whose fault is this? I think it's all of us. My boss wanted glamour. Architects, they are always handsome. They always are well dressed. They are always, no, don't get them like that. No, but they are like that. Now architects are like that. They are no longer like Le Corbusier. They are like that. So it has been an education for all of us, and we're still working on it. So far.
Okay, so I'm here representing Mark magazine, which some of you may know is actually defunct since some months. I wrote for them for about 11 years, and I was a Southern Europe correspondent. And, well, I've been asked to discuss Kleiburg. I actually studied in the Netherlands, so I will do my best, because that wasn't actually part of my purview within Mark, was not Northern Europe. But I want to start with, I want to talk mainly about images in relation to architectural criticism. And I want to start with a quote from architecture critic Tom Dijkhoff's recent book, The Age of Spectacle. And he said, "I have a recent copy of Mark magazine. At £14, it is the nearest architectural magazines get to pornography. Its expensive pages slick with this new breed of cavorting, shapely buildings in every corner of the world." End quote. He's absolutely right. Mark was a luxurious, expensive, printed medium designed to arouse viewers with its seductive visuals. But that is indeed what most architecture magazines do. Let's not kid ourselves. We are a visual culture, and if that makes us pornographers, so be it. Architecture is perceived by many more people through media than in situ, so it's perfectly natural that architectural media would be highly visual. It's only when visiting a building in real life that the rest of our senses enter the picture, so to speak. And here we are, of course, in a very famous building that originally stood for only a year and was seen firsthand by only a handful of people compared to the many admirers that it garnered worldwide. This was entirely thanks to media and the publication of some grainy black and white photographs back in the day. Architectural media is largely visual, but good visuals can also provoke a viewer to become a reader if the visuals arouse curiosity. And this was Mark Magazine's strategy. Mark Magazine was about architecture as buildings. I know, what a concept, eh? Whenever I would make a pitch to editors Arthur Wortmann and David Koenig, the first thing they would usually ask about, if the building, of course, was sufficiently cavorting and shapely, was the availability of professional photographs. To make it into Mark's pages, a building had to be visually captivating first and foremost, and the photography had to be first rate. And only then was it worthy of being written about. And as a writer, I had to accept that. In architectural media, text is almost always accompanied by images. It can be awkward to write very critically about architecture when accompanying images are highly seductive. Unless, that is, humor is employed. Humor is a way of being critical without being negative or off-putting. Humor allows appearances to be kept up, not to mention the reader's attention. And criticism is actually more subversive when it is delivered through humor, precisely because of that. Mark made no pretense of being a highly critical medium. It was mostly celebratory, intending to lead by example. It was not holier than thou. It covered buildings from many perspectives. including clients, users, builders, consultants, interns. There was even once a profile piece about a Los Angeles real estate agent who specializes in modernist houses. In contemporary media, architecture is found under many headings: arts and culture, business, science and technology, politics and urban affairs, the gossip column, and especially today, sadly, the obituaries. Regardless of how it's classified, architecture makes news the same way anything makes news. Seductive imagery, celebrity and notoriety, and scandal and provocation, and not necessarily in that order. I never wrote about the Flat Kleiburg and Mark magazine because I wasn't the person to do it, but I have referred to this work 3 times in 3 different texts of mine. 2 of them are on my blog, Criticalista, and 1 is an article soon to be launched in an international design magazine sponsored by Rohe, the manufacturer of bathroom fixtures. The Bijlmermeer housing complex, where the flat is located, is familiar to me from when I settled in Amsterdam in the early 90s to study at the Berlage Institute and work in Herman Hertzberger's office. I almost ended up living there at one point. The local stigma that this CM complex is laden with, and which Xander described, is one reason precisely why I think this project by NL and XVW is highly deserving of the EU Mies Award it won. Internationally, this project shows that even the most brutal housing blocks don't need to be demolished. They can be lovingly renovated instead. Renovation of existing buildings, as we know, is always better, is much greener than even the greenest new building due to the embodied energy they contain. So it's always a better option if the building is, of course, still structurally sound. And I'm all for the Klusflat idea of residents being able to suit raw, unfinished space to their needs, to their own needs, desires, and fantasies. I think it's an idea that more countries should embrace. We need to make better, smarter, and more creative use of the many things we already have, rather than always throwing things out. And if projects like this could represent the future of architecture, we would be giving our planet a much-needed break. And this is why it should be published everywhere, and with the most provocative and, if need be, pornographic images available. Thank you.
So Miriam asked us to explain something about our job, and before I will speak about Szczecin, I just want to show what is Architektura Murator, because it is how I think can work architecture magazine. So Architektura Murator, next please. I cannot. Sorry, one moment. Architektura Murator is a monthly magazine, and it aims to disseminate professional and honest knowledge about architecture, promote the greatest Polish achievement in the field, and so on, but to respond to the real social needs and decent life in architecture. Next, please. And maybe next things. I want just to show you, because tomorrow we will discuss about the situation of media. I'm very proud of that according to the data given by the Press Distribution Control Union, the Architektura Murator was the only one among magazines dealing with building and interiors to increase its average sales in 2017 in comparison to 2016. And if you are asking why, I think that it is about that we are not only the magazine, but also a kind of institution. So what we are doing, let's, no, next. I think that we are permanent learning. We are very open to the local architecture milieu. And we are looking for world trends. But we are open to the new media, active presence in social media. What is most important, I think, that we organize competitions, exhibitions, conferences about the most actual subjects. And we collaborate with many organizations. We have very high graphic quality. I must say that we have almost 30 awards in this field. And I'm very proud because today my colleague take one more. It is the best cover in Poland in this field. And next. And there are some selected examples of our activity. So a lot of exhibitions, also in open space. Workshops with students, and then the big exhibition and collection, which was the gift for most important Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw. I will speak about it also because the part of this collection is the model of Philharmonic Hall. And then every 5 years, we are organizing the meeting of young architects below 40 years of age. So it is a special occasion to discuss the new trends in architecture, but also how they work and what are their needs. And then, of course, we organize conferences also about housing estates and so on. A lot of interviews. Next. Next, please. Next, please. And once we organized the special costume ball when architects dressed up as their own buildings. So what I wanted to say, that in my opinion, making a magazine does not mean only to write or to publish photos. It is much more. I hope that we will discuss it tomorrow. But coming back to Philharmonic Hall, I must say that before arrival to Barcelona, I searched, scanned internet to find old texts about Philharmonic Hall. There are still some of them, I remember them, but there are still some of them. And they have characteristic titles. For example, a palace or a corrugated steel chanty. The same situation was with internet users. For example, they have opinions like trashy container, corrugated barrack, the fridge, and so on. Such terms, I must say, are still existing, even after numerous awards. But now, especially after the Mies van den Rohe Prize, the pride of citizens replaces jokes. It's not only because the Philharmonic Hall became the city's new icon, and it's not because it is very known at the moment. It is also because it is an important cultural venue for various public meetings, so public use it and feel that it is their own public house. By the way, I would like also underline that it is very important that we have the proper information about the building, and this dissemination belongs not only to the press, it belongs also to marketing and communication of institutions. So, for example, I must say that I'm very convinced that not only press articles are important, but also media events. So, for example, Architektura Murator decided to celebrate our 20th anniversary by a collection of models called for the Museum of Modern Art. And after many discussions, the Philharmonic Hall in Szczecin was included in the collection. It was 2014, so it was before Mies van den Rohe Award. And each architect was asked to prepare a motto, a few sentences explaining the essence of each project. It was very important, this Alberto Veiga's motto. I will try to make a citation. We think that not the purity of the project is important, but the purity of thought, the purity of the idea. I do not know how many people read it, although the exhibition was visited by tens of thousands, and how many of them understood it. I really don't know. But the important thing is how pure and idealistic the architect's intentions were. And I believe such experience spread also to the public. And the role of media, also my medium, Architektura Murator, is to send it on in a way proper to the media through words, text, article, or, as in our case, by the exhibition. So I think that criticism is very important, but also somehow helplessness. The role of media is very various. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you at the moment.
I have some